Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elizabeth. This is Lola, although hopefully she won't be staying with us for the whole of the class. Today's class is all about those times when you want to introduce a little bit of movement to your day, but nothing too strenuous. Today's class is focusing on our core and our abdominals and will be very much low level on the mat. So our core is super important. It helps protect our back. If we have a strong core, it always helps protect our back. It also helps us with our balance and stability, which is another factor. As we get a little bit older, we tend to lose confidence in our balance. So by having a strong core, this will hopefully improve our balance. And of course, our posture, something else. As we get older, we tend to lose our posture. In fact, not even when we get older. If you spend a lot of time on a computer or at a desk, we become quite round-shouldered. So having a strong core helps us hold ourselves in a particular way. So whenever you're ready, I'm going to get rid of this one and we will start our class. So just roll out your mat and come down into a seated position. So we're going to start this class today in a seated position, feeling our sit bones underneath us, rooting down towards the earth. The knees are bent about hip distance apart with the feet in front of them. So pushing down through the soles of the feet as much as you can, drawing up through our spine and just resting our hands behind the thighs, rolling the shoulders back and down as we pull our belly button in. So from this posture where we are sat on those sharp sit bones, if we just roll ourselves back, so we are on the more padded area of the derriere, pulling that belly button in, you can already feel these muscles around the center of the body drawing in, holding us in this posture, reaching the arms out in front if we want to. We're just going to hold it for a couple of breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. And then drawing yourself back into this seated position. We're going to add on a little bit here if you want to, but only if you want to. So coming back into that posture, drawing yourself backwards, keeping the shoulders nice and soft, and that openness through the chest. You might want to experiment by lifting one leg off the floor, keeping it in this tabletop posture, possibly tapping the foot to the mat. Maybe coming on to the other side and repeating this, all the while being very aware of what your back is doing. We don't want to come into this rounded posture. We want to try and stay lifted through the chest here, really pulling your belly button in. If it gets too much at any point, keep your feet grounded, maybe even holding on behind the thighs or even drawing yourself back into seated and allowing yourself to fold over your legs. So taking a rest whenever you need to. Let's just come into that one more time. So we find our starting position, rooting down through those sit bones, maybe extending the arms in front as we draw ourselves backwards, really holding our abdominals nice and tightly here. And then experimenting with whatever leg position feels good for us today. You might even want to take both legs up into this tabletop and hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Dropping those feet down to the floor, maybe wrapping your arms around your legs and giving yourself a little bit of a hug here. Okay, so from this position, we are going to roll ourselves over onto all fours. Finding ourselves in this tabletop position with our knees underneath the hips and the wrists underneath the shoulders. Again, we're focusing on our core muscles by pulling our belly button in whilst keeping our back flat. So we're not dipping down, we're not rounding up, we're just staying in this beautiful neutral spine, gaze down towards the floor. And all we're going to do from here is extend our right leg behind us, keeping the toes to the mat to begin with, just to find that level position through the hips so that we're not tilting up, we're not tilting down. We're trying to keep the hips nice and level in this posture. Again, there's going to be a couple of stages to this. So we can stay here. We are still working our core muscles by drawing that belly button in. Or we can take that right leg, excuse me, up to hip height, toes facing down, heel pushing away. I always think my leg kind of twists in a weird way here. But as long as the hips are level and we're pulling in that belly button, I don't suppose it really matters too much. And if you want to take it a little stage further, we can extend our left arm in front. So we have this beautiful long line from the tips of the fingers on that left hand, down through the arm, down through the body to the heel on the right foot, all the while trying to breathe naturally if we can. Returning the left hand, the right knee down towards the mat. Let's just roll through a little cat-cow, just in case any stiffness has crept into our spine. And then returning into our neutral position. As we come on to the other side, let's extend that left leg out behind. To begin with, just push the heel away, finding that evenness through our hips. And then again, if you want to take it a little bit further, we lift the left leg up, toes facing down, push that heel away. So we're keeping very active through the leg, all the while keeping that strong core. And then maybe extending our right arm in front of us. Again, finding that long line down through the body. You might be beginning to shake a little bit here. So very important to focus on your breath, keeping that breath flowing evenly on your inhale and on your exhale. Before returning hand and knee back down to the floor, mobilizing through our cat-cow. One more time. We can sit back on the heels or just come into any seated position just to release the wrists a little bit here. Just staying on our wrist for a certain amount of time can cause them to stiffen up a little bit, so keep mobile through our joints. And then coming back into our tabletop position. So we're going to revisit that last posture, but just adding on a little bit extra if you want to. Taking our right leg out behind us, our left arm in front, and this time we're going to make a little fist in that left hand, bending our left knee, rounding our spine and drawing elbow to knee underneath us as we breathe out. As we breathe in, we're going to extend and lengthen. Breathing out, drawing them in, extending and lengthening on our inhale. It's not easy to say. Last time. Finding that extension before returning hand and knee to the floor and just moving on to the other side, finding that length through the body. Then as we exhale, we crunch into the center. We inhale, finding length, all the while squeezing through our abdominals. Last time. And extending out. Fantastic. Dropping hand, dropping knee down towards the floor. Coming into a side plank now. Two options for this. We can take our right hand into the center of the mat, just pivoting on our right knee as we extend our left leg out to the side and reach that left arm up. So lifting the hips up, finding openness through the chest, maybe even lifting that left leg up to hip height here. So finding the balance, finding the stability in your side plank. The other option is taking both legs out to the side and reaching up, pushing those hips up towards the ceiling. Wherever you are, we're going to find our way back into our tabletop and repeat that on the opposite side. So either taking your left hand into the center, I am turning my back to you now, but it does kind of give you a different angle on the situation. So we have our half side plank, taking that leg up to hip height, pushing the heel away, pulling that belly button in, or the other option where we extend both legs to the side, reaching up through that top arm, lifting the hips, and then exhale, taking the hands back towards the mat If you are in your tabletop position, reaching both legs out behind you in a full plank, and just see if we can lift ourselves into a downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling the feet, pushing through the hands, and just finding a little bit of stillness in your downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, as we breathe out, we draw ourselves forward into a plank, squeezing our glutes and our thighs. Our glutes are the biggest muscle in our body, and they make up a large proportion of our core muscles. So it is really, really useful to keep strength and stability through our glutes. As we inhale, we take it back up into downward facing dog. We're going to do this 3 times. Have a rest if you need to. Breathing out, we come forward into that plank. Breathing in, we take it back into downward dog. 2 more times here, coming forward into plank, squeezing everything, pulling that belly in. Exhale, take it back into downward dog. Last time, coming forward. Let's see if we can hold this for a little bit longer, maybe for 5. Keep breathing for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's drop the knees to the floor. Push yourself back into a child's pose, taking the weight off your hands and your wrists and just giving them a little bit of mobilization here. Maybe even taking your hands behind your head, resting out through your arms as well. Okay, let's come back up into seated, and then from here, just drop over onto your hip. Bring yourself around, whiz yourself around, so we are back in our seated position where we began the class. Before we finish, we're going to do one more exercise, which is really, really good for our glute muscles. So from here, just check you've got enough room behind you. We're going to lie ourselves down on our back, keeping those knees bent and bringing our feet in towards the bottom. So the feet are about hip distance and the knees are stacked over our ankles, coming into our bridge posture. To begin with, we just tilt our pelvis up towards the ceiling, again pulling that belly button in towards the spine, and then pushing through the soles of the feet, we gently lift the hips up towards the ceiling, squeezing the glutes, squeezing the thighs as well. Imagine you've got a yoga block or a book or a small football between your knees and you're squeezing it. What we don't want to do is let those knees fall out to the side here. We want to keep some stability, some control through the center of the body. And then very slowly, imagine you are touching each vertebrae towards the floor as you lower back down. Just doing this a couple more times, or a few more if you feel the urge to do so today. So we tilt the pelvis first, we peel the spine off the mat, so we've still got the upper back, the shoulder blades on the floor. We are squeezing the glutes, squeezing the thighs, making sure those knees don't fall out to the side, maintaining that regular breath too, and then very slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, we lower down towards the mat. Last time, take a breath in, tilting, lifting, squeezing, holding here. See if we can hold it for that count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lowering all the way back down towards the floor. If you feel the need to, we can hug the knees into the chest, maybe giving a little rock on the mat with our spine before dropping the feet back to the floor, taking the feet mat distance and letting one knee drop against the other. Just closing the eyes here, taking a lovely deep breath in through the nose and maybe making a sighing sound out through the mouth. And maybe just staying there for a couple of minutes or so, just feeling your body relaxing into the mat, taking the time to focus on your breathing. And then when you're ready, just drawing yourself all the way back up into a seated position. So that was quite a short class today, and you can either do it on its own, or you can maybe add it on to another yoga practice, or just use it to give yourself a little bit of strength, stability, and control within this central core area of your body. So thank you very much for joining me on the mat today. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I release new videos every week. Sometimes they're short, sometimes they're long, sometimes we stand, sometimes we sit. So please press the like button, press subscribe, and see you on the mat again very soon. Thank you.